Hi there. Welcome to the Thriving on Purpose podcast. And today we're going to talk to you about why personal development is not enough. So I don't know if you want to scoot a little more in the center.
Let's pretend like we're a couple or something.
So we decided to do this topic today because we, we're looking at different areas in the world of entrepreneurship, the Christian world right now, how it's being shaken up. And we realize that there's a lot of elements missing, and there's a lot of extremes right now. And so we wanted to talk about, first of all, in the entrepreneurial world, whether you be a Christian entrepreneur, well, most of the time you're an entrepreneur that doesn't have faith. You're being taught mostly to be motivated, take action, pivot your business, and although
pivot is a word that we've heard a lot in the last few weeks. It's become like not a keyword. There's a term for that. Buzzword.
Yeah,
it's a buzzword. It's used everywhere. Everybody's saying pivot in your business, pivot in your mindset, pivot, which is basically a way of saying to shift and adapt to this new reality. And we've heard a lot, and I'm sorry I cut you, Liz.
No, but that's true. And so that's the reality, for a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of Christian owners, a lot of believers, a lot of people in the world right now that have businesses have to take them online. And so they have had to shift, they've had to pivot. A lot of people have realized that
we're having to shift and pivot as well.
And a lot of people have realized, that what they were doing wasn't really essential, that the work that they were doing wasn't an essential need. And when you're in times of crisis, if you want your business to survive, you have to offer value to the world with something that people can use, something people need that can sustain them and that can help them, obviously, to get through these hard times.
Yeah, and as these hard times are advancing, and we've been in this for now, 40 days or something, and obviously the needs of people are changing. What people are looking for is changing. So, of course, businesses can't stay the way business as usual, the way they've always done things. So pivoting is an essential part of adapting to this new reality. However, what we've seen is a lot of big, well-known entrepreneurs, big names are gathering together, creating events to help you with your mindset, to help you adapt and all that. And that's great because your mindset is really going to help you. And how you, we don't control what happens to us. We only control how we react to it. So how you react and adapt to this is all depending on your mindset. But here's the thing, mindset alone or personal development can only take you so far, okay? So there's an element of faith. We're entering a season right now, and I don't think I'm a prophet, I might be, but I feel like we're entering a season right now where personal growth, those who are only advocates of personal growth from a humanistic perspective, it won't be enough anymore. We're entering a season where faith is going to become a huge component because we're living things, and I hope I'm wrong in saying this, and I hope that hopefully things would get back to a semi-normalcy of what we used to know. But everybody's saying it more and more. The normal we used to know, it's pretty much over. At least for a few years. As Christians, we're talking about, is this the end times? Is this not? What's going on? And all kinds of opinions abound on that matter. But if this is not the end times, if this is just an isolated event, kind of like 9/11 was, and it's not really isolated, but you know what I'm saying. If this is not really the beginning of the tribulation or whatnot, then we would get back to a semi-normalcy afterwards. But so I kind of lost track of what I was saying here. But basically, we're figuring out that this is going to affect our lives in a huge way. Mm-hmm. And people who are all about mindset and personal growth might actually witness stuff or go through stuff that they never thought they would see in their lives. Yeah. So no matter how strong your mindset is, how can I put this? If you see family members starving or fighting for a loaf of bread, and it's happening in other countries.
Yeah.
So let's not play high and mighty here in Canada and the U.S. because what's happening right now with this major depression, because this is not a recession. Make no mistake, this is going to be a depression. So this major depression we're entering is going to affect our minds. It's going to shake it to its core. So if you don't have faith, the things you're going to be going through, your mindset, it's going to take you so far. But mindset stops where faith begins. In other words, mindset is really, really good for everything that you can do. And God bless him, has given us a lot as human beings that we can do. He's given us tremendous intellect, potential, incredible attributes as human beings. We can do a lot. But when we reach the end of ourselves, and a lot of people are already there right now, and I'm sympathizing with what I see on the news, a lot of people are suffering right now. Yeah. A lot of people losing their homes, losing their businesses, losing their jobs, losing their marriage. I think China, my sister was telling me this week that they're starting to come back, basically reopen slowly. And what they're witnessing is record-breaking divorce rates. So as things are starting to reopen, people are filing for divorce. And that's just one thing. There's so many other things that people are going through. Just last week, there was a killing. 22 people in Nova Scotia were dead because someone snapped, went completely bonkers. What went through his mind, I don't know. I mean, I know he was a dentist. And obviously, his business was closed down.
No one expected that.
So how people are going to react? We might witness things that will shake us to our core. And mindset is good to have. So keep doing personal growth by all means, because we need it. We really need it for our attitude, for our character, to be strong, to be pillars in a society that needs it so much. But at the same time, if you don't have faith, we're entering a season where you will need God more than anything, because there's things that you will now realize that you cannot do without Him. Yeah. And that's what we're getting at in this week's podcast, is that a lot of people are going to reach their human limits. And your mindset, you're going to realize your personal growth, you're going to be like, okay, I never believed in God, or I'm an agnostic or atheist or whatnot. I'm reaching the end of my rope here. I was a successful entrepreneur. I was this, I was that. I had influence and all that. But now I don't know what to tell the people following me. I don't know what to tell them anymore, because you reach the end of yourself. This is coming. Okay? This is coming now. We're seeing it everywhere.
And we're part of a lot of leadership circles where we hear different leadership, influential people talking to, entrepreneurs about leadership and all that. And at one point, there's nothing more to say, because you have to go in the faith realm. At one point, you cannot lead people properly if you don't put God and you don't involve God in the process. And that's where it, eventually you hit a wall. And so during this time, we're not just talking, when we talk about faith, we're not just talking about, I believe there's a God and that's going to help me if I pray. We're talking about growing your faith, deep rooting your faith, having that kind of, faith that can shake mountains, that mustard seed faith that we hear about in the Bible, and how to work that faith during these times. And so we've decided in our top Kingdom Growth group to be doing a series where we're going to go through all the layers of faith, the components of faith.
The stepping stones, yeah.
Yeah, the stepping stones of faith that you need to know, and how to grow your faith to finally have your prayers answered, and to see God moving and alive in your world, in your present life. And so I think that's what most people are looking for right now. Where is God in this? And is this a judgment from God and all that? And I believe personally that the virus is from the devil. I don't believe God created the virus, but I do believe that God does want your best interest, and God wants to see you thrive, and He wants to see you, come out of this strong and closer to Him, and to work in mighty ways in your life, so that you stay strong. And I was having a conversation with somebody yesterday, and on the phone, and they were saying, you know what, Liz, your mindset is really, really good, considering everything that's going around in your province, and we're in a state of emergency as well, and we're not supposed to leave unless we really need to, and all the rules that apply elsewhere. But even so, we have decided to really focus on our faith and grow our faith and apply our faith and put our faith to action. And so I'm really excited for you guys to join our group, Top Kingdom Growth, because we're going to be sharing events, different things that have happened in the recent weeks with us, that have tested our faith, that have shown how God has been good, how He's really been working in our lives and helping us every step of the way. And it's really important to learn these skills. It's really important to learn how to deepen your faith and grow your walk with God in times like this, where everybody around you is falling into depression, and a lot are committing suicide, and crazy things are happening, right? So this is going to help your business. This is going to help your mental state, your mindset. It's going to help your faith, and it's really going to help you be basically thriving on purpose, in your purpose. So, and the other thing I want to talk about also, and I think you want to talk about this too, was the other extreme of believers now, that where we call remnant believers, that are like, oh, this is the end days, this is judgment from God, and they're going to the complete extreme, but it's getting to a point where it's all doom and gloom, and there's no it's basically there's no hope, but for some of them they're kind of like, in a way, they're kind of happy, because they're like, oh, this means Jesus has come back. Let's keep our powder dry. Let's have canned foods and build a bunker and buy ammo or whatever. It's always good to be prepared. We've taught that in a podcast where we spoke of, I think, the Escaping the Matrix. Yeah. It's good to be prepared, and we encourage you and we urge you to have food reserves. If you have guns and ammo, it's always good to protect your family. You never know what can happen in a time of crisis. But I don't want to go deep into that, because there's some fear mongering in that area. So it's good to have a balance. And so on the one hand, like Liz said, there's the two extremes. There's the entrepreneurs that are only talking about how to profit from this crisis and pivot and make money online. Good stuff, and I do think it's a good thing to consider, because we still have to pay the bills. But many of them do that without God in the equation. And on the other hand, then you have the remnant, who are all about Jesus come back, this is the end, and talking maybe about a civil war, or taking it to the streets. I think we still have to maintain a balance at this point, still be observant of what is going on. If there needs to be protests, then maybe start thinking about maybe organizing some in a fashionable way, in a way that is done orderly. I've seen some online that were done orderly. Of course, it's not something I'm recommending necessarily you do, but maybe you feel called by God to do that. Maybe you're one of the called to lead that charge, to actually implement change, to bring positive change in your community. That'd be great. But always be prudent. Don't jump to conclusions. Don't go all out. Just be prudent in what you're believing, what you're listening to, what you're endorsing. It's a time of we know what's going on, but it might get back to a semi-normalcy. But if it doesn't, it's good to be prepared, definitely, and to keep your faith in God in the process. So don't go in all humanistic mode, because you can go humanistic on the side of being apocalyptic. So in other words, you can believe in God and Jesus and the end times, but go all humanistic in that kind of sphere of thought, that train of thought, and only believe in teach others to buy guns and to I don't know, all kinds of conspiracy theories. There's so much you can do to be prepared to a certain extent, right? And And even then, when it runs out, you still need your faith. So
you know,
you have to work your faith no matter what.
Yeah.
I mean, it just is a matter of time, whether you have resources or not. And, you know, even if, you know, maybe you're in the situation where you're like, you know, I've lost my job, I don't have money coming in, and I need food, and, you know, I'm stuck going to shelters to get food, or wherever it is that you're getting food. You still have to grow your faith, because this is what's going to help you right now. This is what's going to, God will find a way to provide. And God is a God that, you know, lets us kind of, how should I explain this? There's a lot that's going on right now that is God letting people make their own decisions. The government is making their own decisions. God has given us free will. So we are obviously under that government physically, but basically we're spiritual beings, and we're under God's government. We're under God's ruling. He's our God, and
He's our authority.
He's our authority.
We're under His. We're in His kingdom, and we're ambassadors here on earth. So always keep that in mind, to keep your faith strong. Always remember who you belong to, whose you are. Okay, it's good to know who you are, but it's even a bit better to know whose you are. And you belong to God. Yeah. You're ambassadors of His kingdom, and you're under His jurisdiction. So what applies to everybody else might not apply to you. And I know that might sound weird, but if you understand how faith operates and how the kingdom of God operates, you're going to know that you can still impact the world positively at this time. And it can be through your business, but it doesn't have to be through your business. It can be in a multitude of ways at this point in time right now, where there are so many needs arising as we speak. And I was talking about mindset and faith earlier, and we're basically saying where mindset ends, faith begins. I think it's important to note that, you know, if I ask you the question, did King David have a bad mindset? Most of you would probably say, no, King David, he was King David. He was a man after God's own heart. So obviously he probably did have a pretty decent mindset. And yet when you read the Psalms, all throughout the Psalms, there are so many Psalms of lament where David is going like, who shall I turn to? What's going to happen? My heart is full of sorrow, on and on. And he's lamenting his situation. And oftentimes these Psalms finish on a positive note. I will strengthen myself in the Lord. The Lord will be my deliverer. So what does David do? He basically, the whole Psalm goes through a lament, basically saying, my mindset is failing me. I'm depressed. I'm sad. I'm overwhelmed. So at the end, what does he say? He says, you know what? My mindset failed me. My mind is under attack right now. I feel weakened. I will turn to God, and He will give me strength. So where mindset ends, where personal growth capacity ends, faith begins. So never forget that. That's what we're getting at through this podcast. We're not saying that personal development should be avoided. Au contraire, by all means, keep developing, keep your personal growth regime going. We need it. We need a strong mind. We need to be at our best, okay? But always keep in mind also that if that's all you're doing, and you put God on the back burner, either because you're a Christian who is in a phase where you haven't talked to Him in a while or whatnot, or maybe you just might be someone who doesn't really believe in God. Well, you're going to realize very soon that He is very much needed right now in our individual lives. Of course, collectively, that's obvious. We need Him more than ever now. But in our individual lives, we're going through all kinds of changes. Some people are going through real dramas right now. And if you're one of these people, I urge you to turn to Him right now, because where mindset ends, faith begins. And this could be your turning point today by listening to this live right now.
Exactly. So we'll be posting into the comments from wherever you're listening to. We're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, on Thriving Purpose on Facebook, and also on our vlog, thrivingonpurpose.com. So be sure to see us there. We're also on Instagram at Thriving, I think it's Thriving on Purpose Coaching. So
many platforms on this.
So many platforms.
We should write them down and go to the list like this.
But anyway, we'll be posting our group in the comments wherever you're listening. from, so that you can join our group and we can add value to you there. There's content that we'll be putting in there, in-depth studies about faith, the stepping stones of faith, and what you need right now to be strong in your faith to get through these times. So we hope that you join us. Be blessed.
And thrive on.